Hi everyone. Today I want to talk to you about breakthroughs, and I want to share more about my sobriety journey with you. I have periodically, mention it in several videos, and of course if I've ever talked with you, we may or may not have touched on that subject. But I want to talk to you about breakthroughs, and whether your breakthrough that you're looking for happens to be a sobriety journey, or maybe it's something else. Doesn't really matter what it is. I want to share with you how it's possible. And so in the new year, so many times people talk about resolutions and all these things. And it just so happened that mine did fall at the beginning of the year. And so this week I celebrate 7 years of sobriety from alcohol, which, if I'm really honest with you, I never ever thought could happen. And so I'm still thrilled every single year as I celebrate this, and I know that I am healed and recovered, and I'm not in recovery. I believe I am already recovered. And so I want to share a little bit about what that looked like, because I know a lot of you that I talk to can relate. So like I said, whether it's alcohol, it's food, it's gambling, it's shopping, it doesn't matter what your thing is. If you're looking for a breakthrough, I just want to talk to you about that today. So for those of you that are new here to my channel, welcome. You're getting a full load here today in my sharing of my own personal story. But, this is something that is really important. And I believe that as you too have breakthroughs in your own life, I believe it's our responsibility to share that with others so that others can benefit and hopefully have those as well. So just going back a little bit to so my issue was alcohol, primarily wine or vodka. One of the things that I wanted to make a note here of some of the things that I struggled with when I was in my active, quote unquote, addiction, my reliance on alcohol on a daily basis. Some things that I wish I would have paid more attention to that I knew at the time, but I wasn't as concerned as I should have been, was the fact that I was needing that alcohol every single day. I drank from the time I got home from work. I was a very functioning person, never missed a day of work because of it. And I would drink from the time I got home until the time I went to bed. And typically most nights I would take the glass of wine to bed with me. And rarely drank it after I went to bed, right? But it was always there on the nightstand because maybe I was watching TV or whatever. And there was one night in particular where I knew that this had to stop. And this was not my catalyst for change, but it was definitely something that what was an aha moment for me was I had a drink next to my bed. I'm being very honest with you here. I had a drink next to my bed, and it was a vodka and soda or whatever. And I woke up in the middle of the night thinking it was a glass of water, and started chugging it like I would a glass of water. And that made me disgusted. That made me very, very disgusted with myself, that I could not believe it. It made me sick to my stomach. I mean, I ran in the bathroom, spit it out as much as I could, right? It's one of those things that I share with you because if any of you are struggling with what I struggled with, you may have done the same, right? It's very easy to do. Another thing that I did is I isolated myself. I isolated myself to the point where I really didn't want to hang out with friends or my husband or anyone for that matter. And it was easier to just be alone so I could cry and I could focus on what I had lost in my life, which was at that time my daughter, right? And focusing on the negativity in my own thoughts and focusing on how, things were never going to get better. And of course, alcohol is a depressant, and many times you and I forget that. And it's going to make things look even more bleak than they already do. And it definitely did that for me. And so that's something I wanted to mention. Another thing was my health. It slowly was deteriorating. And a lot of people who drink casually, and they don't notice a health difference in themselves. But when you're drinking every day the way I did, and the amount of alcohol that I drank, I'll be honest, the wine bottles, just the regular, I don't know how many ounces they are, but just a regular wine bottle, I got to the point where I started drinking one of those a night, which was 3 glasses, maybe 3.5 glasses, whatever. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, that's a lot. What am I doing? Like, that's usually, I would have maybe had a glass or two, but then it slowly increased. And that's something that I encourage you to watch out for. Whether it is alcohol, food, which is a little harder to monitor because we have to eat to survive. But it was one of those things that happened gradually over time. This wasn't an overnight issue. And so for me, while it also runs in my family, I take full responsibility for what happened in how I abused alcohol. Yes, it runs in my family, but I will tell you that it runs out here. Like, it's over with me. Generationally, it is done. It has been prayed over, and it will not affect anyone else in my family. I told you about the wine bottle, the small wine bottle, and then it gradually went to the bigger wine bottles, however many ounces that is. Most nights would be almost a whole one of those, which is equivalent, I think, to 2.5 or 3 regular bottles. I say that to you, it makes me sick to my stomach right now, even thinking about it, because when you wake up and you have no hope and you're feeling like crap and you're functioning throughout the day, not feeling good, and you're compensating by eating garbage to fill your stomach because you don't feel well, and then you start all over again the next day. It's one of those things that I don't wish on anyone, but I want to give you encouragement that here I am 7 years later and have never touched another drop of alcohol and never will. I want to encourage you that if that's you, that you can do it too. I don't care if you have to go to rehab. Just because I didn't doesn't mean you don't. I don't believe that everyone is going to be healed from it the same way. Some people do go to rehab. Some people do still go to meetings ongoing. I don't. But it doesn't mean that that's wrong. It's not right or wrong. My story is not right or wrong, or your story is not right or wrong. But it's something that you have to figure out what's going to work for you, what kind of support system you're going to have, and who you're going to allow, and who maybe needs to be cut out of your life. One other last thing I want to mention here is when it comes to boundaries around, let's say you've made the decision to quit drinking. I want to encourage you to keep the people in your life that are going to support you, and you may need to walk away from some others. And I tell you that because, even in my own home, I did not allow wine, especially in my home after that. And it took me a long time to be able to share that with people that I love, because it's kind of like the boundaries we put around our kids. I did the same thing to myself. I needed that boundary for me. My home is my safe haven. It's a place where I don't want wine, right? Because that's my trigger. Why would I want that in my home? And so this is my place that I can control. I can't control what other people do at their home, what other people do out. That's their business. But I can control what happens in my own home. And so it took me a long time to have the guts to share with people that you can't drink wine in my home. So if we're having company and they're going to, bring beer or whatever, I'm fine with that, and it doesn't happen often. But wine is something I can't handle. Not that I can't handle it. I choose not to. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want it in my home. And so I broke the wine glasses, guys. They're done. There are no wine glasses in my home. And that's my choice. You don't have to do that, but that's what I did. But I tell you that story because I want to encourage you that don't wait as long as I did, right? This is my story. This is my safe haven, my own home. And whether it's family members or friends, don't be afraid to tell them what your boundaries are, right? And it's okay. And if they're gonna get mad at you for that, then you know what? Maybe you don't need them in your life in that way, because you need people in your life, I don't care who they are, that are going to support you and be proud of you for the changes you're making for your own health. And if they're not, sometimes it's because they need to make those changes themselves and they're not ready, so they're going to be judgmental towards you. But I will tell you, I did have a lot of friends that were completely understandable about everything and were very supportive. And I also had some that, I don't hang out with as much anymore. And that's okay. But I want you to realize that your breakthrough, whether it's alcohol, it's food addiction, like I said, gambling, or whatever it is, shopping, right? It's really easy. It's easy to get into that pit. And it's a slow fade. It's not something that happens overnight. So I want to encourage you today that you can do this. And if this is you and you want to talk about that, if it's alcohol specifically, I just want you to know that you too can make that decision. And my healing came from God. I literally was on my knees after a health scare, and I was on my knees and asked for Him to take the desire away, because I just wanted the desire for it to be gone. And He did. And He did. And I know that if He can do it for me, He can do it for you. I know that everybody's story is not going to be the same. And so if that is something that you're dealing with, I would be happy to talk to you about it. But overall, I just want you to know that if He can heal me, He can heal you and your situation with your child. So I hope that helps someone today. Take care.